I'm shocked. I mean, I knew this was decent ground, but I know in 2022, when I had corn up here, you know, on this hill, I had some Pioneer varieties in my plot cut like 25 bushels an acre. I don't know if she's enjoying this high yielding corn as much as I am. Man, I'm having a ball out here. I'll go ahead and tell you, in this one field this year, I have seen 300 bushels per acre on my yield monitor more times than the previous 16 years that I've run a yield monitor.
Been a while since you saw me, but I hope today is the last day of corn harvest. We'll get around this auger so you can hear me. Our bin 3 that we've been dumping in here is pretty much tapped out. I think it holds about 45,000. We've got about 39,000 in there, so. All right, made our way to the top here, and yeah, she's about full. So, we're gonna shut that up and start going back into our bin number 4. We're not in any wet corn anymore, so it shouldn't hurt it, do anything crazy. I got crap all over me just from walking up there. All right, so we're gonna shut our bin 3 here, open our bin 4, and dump it again. And that one is open. I'm gonna make sure this one is shut. Yep. Alright, same thing. We should be able to turn our east and west bin loop on, and it should be going back into 4 here. But while we wait, we're just gonna go up here to the top of bin 4 and make sure everything's going in there. You can hear it. Oh yeah, we got a little bit more room. I don't even think you can see in there. Alright. Feel like I'm on top of the world. You can see all our corn that's been cut already. Right there. Our east and west loops running, our spinner's running perfectly. Our bin 3 is about full. Our bin 4 is probably, I don't know, 3/4 full. And yeah, we're just chugging away.
All right, what is hopefully the last day of corn harvest. Tell you what, I'll be glad for one last day of AC in these scorching temperatures. I'm already just plumb soaked from servicing the combine. No, I ain't gonna lie. I can get used to shelling this 220 to 240 bushel corn. It's fun. We're not getting a whole lot done. There's a lot to haul off, but it sure is fun. This corn up here on top of this hill, it's continuing to be quite a bit better than I was expecting. I mean, I was expecting in the 160 to 180 range, just because it is a dry hill. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of 150 to 180 bushel places out here. I mean, overall, I'd say 65% of it is so far has been 200 bushels or above. But anyway, if y'all been following us all year, you know that my goal this year was to absolutely minimize my cost in growing corn to try and make the crop profitable. And one of the big things I did is, rather than planting all fully traded seed with a little bit of refuge, I tried my best to plant as much conventional and or Roundup ready corn as possible this year. And I was concerned at first because I haven't grown conventional corn since, I don't know, 2005, 2006. And making sure I get the right chemistries and the good weed control and everything that I'm used to, that was a concern for me. And then, taking out the BT trait, worried about corn borers, corn earworms, that kind of thing. Is that going to eat up a lot of my cost savings on seed? Well, I got to say, after this year, I've been extremely tickled with the varieties that I picked and planted. Been really pleased with the cost savings over fully traded seed. And I'm here to tell you that if you're a corn grower and you want to reduce your cost on corn next year, I highly encourage you to look at sourcing. A lot of your popular varieties are available in, either Roundup ready or conventional corn. And I'm not going to say specific prices, but if you go from fully traded to just Roundup ready, I know in this area, you're looking at $40 to $50 per bag on savings. If you go from fully traded to conventional corn in this area, we're looking at around $70 to $80 per bag on savings. And that can be quite significant over a large amount of acres. Now, I know several agronomists before the year cautioned me about going a large amount of Roundup ready or conventional, especially with the conventional. One of their arguments was Roundup is sprayed on pretty much every acre West Tennessee, and they're kind of thinking, well, Roundup's kind of going to be like the dicamba. It's going to kind of just be everywhere in the atmosphere, and even if you don't see visual damage to the corn, it's there on a microscopic level and can reduce yields. I haven't seen that at all. My Roundup ready or my conventional yields were not any different than my Roundup ready yields at all. I did not see any kind of yield reduction. Is it possible? Maybe there was a bushel or two reduction. It's possible. It's impossible to say. But I have no problems with growing conventional corn again next year if I put it on the right spot. I don't want to plant it right next to another farmer's field who I feel like they might not do a good job with their herbicide application next year, spraying in high winds or spraying where their boom's real high in the air, because physical drift of Roundup onto conventional corn can be very significant. Both the conventional and the Roundup ready corn, I was very concerned with corn earworm, European corn borer. The corn borer can come in and bore into the stalk, tunnel through it, weaken the stalk, and then you got a bunch of corn lodged. I didn't see that at all this year. Worried about corn earworm. We saw some corn earworms coming in right as I was ready to spray my fungicide, starting to do a little bit of damage. I included a cheap insecticide. I think the lambdicide I applied cost me like $1.50 or $1.75 per acre and completely wiped them out. We saw absolutely no feeding after that whatsoever. So my plan to lower my seed cost by going with conventional and Roundup ready this year absolutely paid off. And if that's something that interests you, I encourage you to try it next year. But it's going to have to be managed differently. You can't expect to manage it just like you do your fully traded versions. And just to throw a caveat out there, we don't have corn rootworm that we've got to deal with here. So that's a completely different animal. I know up in the Midwest y'all have problems with it, and conventional or Roundup ready might not be an option for you. I don't really know what the insecticide control options are or how good they are, but we don't have to deal with rootworm. But if you do grow some Roundup ready or conventional next year, you really need to pencil in an insecticide application in season after tasseling. Now us, we included insecticide in with our fungicide, and it happened that it timed it up just perfectly. We also sprayed it with a ground rig at 20 gallons per acre of water you know, as opposed to having it sprayed with an airplane at what, 3 gallons of water per acre, maybe 5 gallons if you can convince the pilot to do it. You know, I feel like you're probably not going to see quite as good, you know, worm control spraying with an airplane as you will with the ground rig. So, you know, you also want to consider that. But if you're not planning on spraying a fungicide on your corn next year, you know, hiring an airplane at, I don't know what, $12, $15 an acre or whatever it costs, you know, that's going to be a pretty significant input for you. But if you're already planning on going across your crop with an airplane for a fungicide, then, you know, I think that makes, you know, Roundup Ready and conventional corn a lot more viable option for you. But here's the thing. Finding your Roundup Ready and conventional varieties, you know, they're not going to be in big supply. You know, these companies, the Dekalbs, the Cortevas, everybody else, you know, they're not going to produce a lot of conventional and Roundup Ready seed because there's just not near as big a demand for it as there is their fully traded stuff. So I just got off the phone with my seed retailer, and normally I don't even worry about picking corn varieties until like December or January. I know a lot of y'all in the Midwest, I think y'all have to like start booking your seed in August before the combine even comes out. But you know, I went ahead and put a bug in his ear and I gave him the varieties that I was definitely wanting, which is a lot of what I'm planting this year. And I said, you know, I want these varieties, these conventional and Roundup Ready varieties. I'm letting you know now here in September, so you can go ahead and start sourcing the supply, because if I wait till December and January, especially the conventional varieties, they're probably already being allocated to other areas that actually have a conventional corn market to capture that premium. So if you haven't been doing it in the past, I definitely encourage you to go ahead and look at the varieties that you might want to plant. Go ahead, contact your seed retailer so he can go ahead and start sourcing those varieties for you for next year. Because if you wait until you know, December or January, like I know a lot of producers do, you might want those varieties. You might think they can pencil out on your farm, but you might not be able to get them. Anyway, the varieties that I'm definitely going to be planting next year, in case you're in the Mid-South area and you kind of want to follow my lead, Dekalb 11130. That's the first one we started out with. That's a conventional version of 11135. I was super pleased with it. Another one's going to be Progeny 9114RR. That's a Roundup Ready variety. I was super happy with it. Dekalb 6839 is what I planted this year, which is the Roundup Ready version of 6835. There's also a conventional version 6837 if you can get your hands on. That's the one that I'm going to try to plant next year. Super tickled with it. Dang, look at that, 259. Wow. This variety right here is Dekalb 6422. Now this one is a fully traded version, but there is a version, I think it's a Roundup Ready version, 6420. It might be conventional, I'm not sure. But 6420 is what I'm going to try to get for next year, because I love this variety, but if I can get it in a conventional or Roundup Ready variety, I'll love it even more. So anyway, guys, if you decide to follow my lead on that, I mean, not only will you be you know, saving input cost on corn next year, you'll also be sending a message to the Bayers, the Cortevas, you know, all these other companies. You know, they start getting a bunch of seed orders of you know, cheaper Roundup Ready or conventional seed. You know, that's going to be sending the message to them that, hey, our fully traded stuff, it's at a price point that farmers don't like anymore. Maybe we need to look at different pricing strategies. Guys, don't forget to leverage your economic buying power. I mean, these companies have got some fantastic products, but we need to try to get them cheaper so we can be profitable ourselves. Don't ever underestimate your buying power. I've talked about it quite a bit this year. You know, we need to be sending the message that, hey, guys, y'all got some good products, but let's look at the market. You need to leave a little bit of meat on the bone for us also if you want us to stay in business.
Nothing like sitting on the corner watching traffic go by, waiting on a truck, because it's a good thing. So Andy has to drive 9 miles one way, 18 miles round trip to get back here with the traffic that we do have. And so it takes about, I don't know, we're waiting maybe 20-30 minutes at the very most. The last 2 fields have yielded very well. I think it's because 1, cover crops, 2, our practices, and 3, well, it got more rain over here. Unlike home, we got half an inch in 73 days. Out here, I think they got a little more than that, maybe close to an inch. So what a difference 9 miles makes, right? We'll probably start beans next week. But the problem is, it is so hot and dry. It is 95 every day, that the fire risk is extremely high. And as of this week, I know of 3 fires that have happened with equipment and fields. So we need some rain badly, and we're not going to get any for 2 more weeks. Oh, and look who's back. All right, time to go. You would think in a 73-day drought that we wouldn't have issues with kudzu, but here we are. I mean, it's pretty bad. It is choked out pretty much, yeah, the sides over here. Looks like it's 5 rows in over there. Now this stuff is just, man, needs to go back to Japan where it came from.
Well, I'll tell you what, Andy's been turning and burning today. Me and Kelly, we really haven't had to wait very much at all. In fact, there was one time he was waiting on us to get back cause doing the inroads on that side, and I found a pretty bad stretch of morning glories down there, and boy, it gave me a cussing fit. Kept on having to get out and unwrap my auger because I'm unwilling to leave any to the wildlife. But other than that, I mean, we've had to wait, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so by the time we get everything filled up. And let me tell you, out there, it ain't taking me long to fill up those long rows. Most of it, well, it's probably averaging 200 bushels per acre out there, or close, if I had to guess. And he's been keeping the pedal to the metal. In case you're wondering why I'm not dumping while Kelly's unloading, it's because I've mentioned in the past, you know, we got scales on a grain buggy. That's how we keep track of everything that comes off the farms where we owe landlords and everything. And if I'm actively dumping while she's unloading, well then, you know, we can't get an accurate weigh. So I gotta wait for her to get done unloading the grain buggy like she just did, and then I'll put this load on it, and that'll be enough to send the truck on. She can get a weight on it, and we get accurate weights and make sure we keep all of our landlord shares accurate. Well, we're knocking on the door of getting done. All we got left is this corner over here, and trying to hold the camera steady. My crop sensor on the snout that does the auto steer, it's lost voltage. Not sure what's going on with it, but I'm not about to stop and fix it when we're this close to being done. But anyway, right here we're on some ground that was cleared a couple years ago. If you've been following us, we had a big patch of pine trees that come all the way out here, and then we had another grove of trees up over the top of the hill that the landlord, he wanted to spend some money, and we thought this was the best way to do it, and I sure am glad he did, because got a few more acres of crop, and it's actually yielding pretty good. But not only that, we got long straight rows down through here instead of having, you know, 3 sets of rows that we have to turn around, have inrows and all that kind of stuff. It's making it so much nicer. And if you remember from back this spring, I brought the dirt pan over here, you know, had to do a bunch of improving after they cleared it, had some washes and stuff we had to fill in, and we finally got it really good shape. Got some good crops on it. We didn't have a ton of rain this year to erode it back out, so the soil's now gotten established. We got roots on it, and we come in with a cover crop. Where we get some rain to get the cover crop up, it'll just further establish it even more. But if you also remember, right up here is where we buried both the litter spreader and the dirt pan. I guess in a massive stump hole. We're about to go across it again, and I tell you what, if I sink the combine in it, or Kelly sinks the grain buggy in it, after not having, you know, but you know, a grand total of 1 inch of rain in almost the last 70 days. If we get stuck in this hole now, I think that's going to tell us we just need to not farm this area. But if I recall, I think it's right up in here. Yeah. As expected, she didn't bog down, slow down, or nothing. So I think we're safe.
Somebody doesn't like the deer. Oh, ooh, ooh. Should we release the kraken? Oh, she does not like the deer. So we are almost done with corn. It was a long 2 weeks, but kind of crazy. It was a very uneventful corn harvest, which I'll take every single year. And you just can't argue with that.
Almost there. Got my last set of inrows done. Just got, I don't know, about 3.5 acres right here, and our corn will be wrapped up. And y'all look at that sunset right there. Woo! Last corn sunset of the year. Kelly's getting Andy loaded up with a piece of load. All we got left is just a few more passes, so we'll go ahead and get some details out of the way. This farm right here, averaging 197 bushels an acre. I didn't think that was going to happen. Again, I sound like a broken record. I did not expect that. I expected once we get up on the hill for the yields to drop significantly. You know, we ended the bottom with an average, I don't know, what was it, 212? And this hill only dropped the average to 197. I mean, it's been some dang good corn up here. Just super tickled. You can see right here the map. Don't pay any attention to that average yield. It's got the incorrect acreage right there, but you can see that bottom where that 6839 was right down there. Then we got a couple small hill patches that brought the yield down. Then up here on the hill is what I've been working on all day. And look at the legend. You know, dark green is 250. Just lighter green is 225. Bright green is 200 and above. You know, there's been some dang good corn up here on this hill, 6422. Now, what about our final yield? You know, we took a guess at the beginning corn harvest, and Andy said 130, I said 136, and Kelly was speechless. 680 bushels an acre is for our final yield. Now, it's I guess it's calculating it. This monitor does that. All right, there we go. 158 bushels an acre. 22 bushels an acre higher than what I was predicting. I'm mighty pleased with this corn crop. Good Lord has definitely blessed us. Did we break even on the corn crop? No, but we came pretty close. We lost, let's see, we needed 166 to break even, so 8 bushels an acre at, you know, current price of $4. You know, we lost $32 an acre if corn prices don't go up. Now, if corn prices do go up by the time we sell, say, $5 an acre, we will be making a decent profit on corn this year. And if you told me at the beginning of the year that we'd had flooding rains the first month and a half of the corn crop, and then the rain shuts off, and then totally gets a ½ inch after, you know, after tasseling, that there was a chance we would still make a profit on the corn crop, I would say you're absolutely insane. It ain't gonna happen. It can't happen. Good Lord has provided, no doubt about it. Unfortunately, I fear it's all gonna be downhill from here the rest of the year. I think we've harvested our best crop. I mean, there's a chance. I mean, cotton might give corn a run for its money as far as yield. You know, we are going to have some good yields, but I think our bad cotton yields is going to be worse than what our bad corn yields was, and I think we're going to have more acres of them, but that remains to be seen. But I imagine my cotton scout's going to be hollering at me real soon to start defoliating cotton, so going to be an early cotton harvest. But before we pull the cotton picker out, I believe we're going to have some beans to cut, and I think that's where my feelings are really going to be hurt this year, is the soybean crop, both full season and double crop. Alrighty, that's a wrap, folks. Alright guys, I hope y'all enjoyed our corn harvest as much as I did. For the most part, I was smiling all the way through. Not even close to being our best corn harvest, but when it far exceeds your expectations by, you know, dang near 20 bushels an acre, that's a reason to smile. Before I let you go, I just want to remind y'all about our online merchandise store. If you want hats, shirt, tumblers, license plates, stickers, hoodies, it's about to be hoodie season real soon. Y'all be sure to check out our merch store, www.farmmerchbin.com. Not only will you be helping support us in a down year, you also be supporting another local small family run business that handles all the merchandise and takes the orders, actually makes the products, ships them out, and everything else. And then not only are we on there, you know, you got the Crop Critic, you got Dylan Joyce Farms, Chronicles of Kayla, Thomas Farms TN, Ruth Farms, and several others on there. I'm sure they'd appreciate your patronage on there too. Anyway, it's now Friday night. Hopefully the traffic has died down. I'm gonna drop this header, make tracks for home. Hopefully traffic will be pretty light on the roads tonight. Appreciate y'all.
All right, well, I'm Yellow, but we have officially finished our harvest, our corn harvest, that is. It wasn't pretty. Wasn't the greatest corn. I can't see where I'm going. But we had some pretty decent yielding fields, and we had some pretty terrible fields that average us out. I don't know what we ended up averaging. Ain't quite done that math yet, and ain't quite got the tickets or anything like that. Anyway, that's besides the point. We ended up with about 75,000 bushels in there, so that's not terrible. Could always be better, but that's a lot of truckloads going to the granary. So anyway, I popped the brakes, I'm turning off the lights, and we're about to go get the grain buggy and the header, so we're calling it a night. Have fun. Happy harvest.